Elizabeth Olten was a bright, cheerful 9-year-old girl from St. Martin's, Missouri. She had a contagious smile, a love for adventure, and a passion for making friends. To anyone who knew her, she was the kind of child who brought light into a room, full of life and always eager to explore the world around her. She had an innocence that radiated from her, and her family adored her. Elizabeth lived with her mother, Cheryl Olten, and her siblings in a quiet, close-knit community where neighbors knew each other by name. It was a small town where safety was often taken for granted, and the threat of danger seemed distant. On the evening of October 21, 2009, Elizabeth was playing with her friend Emma. As dusk approached, she prepared to head home, a short walk away. Unbeknownst to her, a sinister plan was unfolding. Her family didn't think much of it at first. Elizabeth had a reputation for being responsible. She had often walked the short distance without issue. But as the minutes turned to hours and there was still no sign of her, concerns started to grow. At first, her family assumed she was just delayed, perhaps playing with her friend and losing track of time. However, when it grew dark and Elizabeth still hadn't returned, her family began to panic. Her mother, Cheryl, was frantic. She called the police, and a search party was quickly organized. The authorities canvassed the area, speaking with neighbors, asking anyone if they had seen Elizabeth. But despite the intense efforts, there was no trace of her. No one had seen her on the road, and there were no signs of any kind of struggle or disturbance. It was as though Elizabeth had simply vanished. The police launched an extensive search, using dogs and helicopters to scour the nearby woods and the surrounding area. The search lasted for days, with volunteers and law enforcement tirelessly looking for any clue that could lead them to Elizabeth. Her family and the small community in St. Martin's held their breath as each hour passed without answers. But as the search continued, something strange began to surface, a chilling new detail that would make the case take a dark turn. On the third day of the search, the police received a tip. A young girl named Alyssa Bustamante, who was a 15-year-old neighbor of Elizabeth, was brought in for questioning. Alyssa had been one of the last people to have seen Elizabeth that evening, and her actions were starting to raise suspicions. Alyssa's demeanor during the questioning was odd, and her answers were vague. She claimed to have seen Elizabeth earlier in the day, but she didn't seem concerned or upset by her disappearance. This immediately caught the attention of investigators. As the interrogation continued, Alyssa became increasingly nervous. After hours of questioning, she finally cracked. In a shocking and chilling confession, Alyssa admitted to having killed Elizabeth Olten. The revelation was nothing short of horrifying. The sweet, seemingly innocent girl who had lived just down the street from Elizabeth was responsible for her brutal death. Alyssa told investigators that she had lured Elizabeth into the woods near her home. There, she had strangled the young girl with a piece of her own clothing. The motive? Alyssa claimed she had simply wanted to know what it felt like to kill someone. She had been fascinated by the idea of death and had even written about it in her journal. Alyssa had been living a troubled life. She had suffered from mental health issues, and her relationship with her family was strained. But none of that could explain the horrifying crime she had committed. What shocked many people, even more, was the fact that Alyssa had kept the murder a secret for days. While the search for Elizabeth raged on, Alyssa remained in the community, pretending to care about her missing neighbor. She even took part in the search for Elizabeth, showing no signs of guilt or remorse. It was as though she was playing a sick game, watching as her family and the rest of the town desperately searched for the little girl she had murdered. Alyssa's confession was just the beginning of the darkness that would come to light in the aftermath of her arrest. Investigators discovered that Alyssa had been planning to kill someone for a long time. She had even written about her fantasies of murder in her journal. She had chosen Elizabeth as her victim purely at random, luring her with the promise of friendship before attacking her. The entire situation was eerily methodical and cold-blooded. Further investigation revealed the extent of Alyssa's disturbed thoughts. In her journal, she had detailed her fascination with death, describing how she had been plotting to kill someone for months. She even drew pictures of herself killing people and expressed a desire to commit murder for the thrill of it. Alyssa had been seeking out ways to hurt others, and tragically, Elizabeth became her target. During the trial, Alyssa's defense team argued that she was suffering from severe mental health issues, including depression and borderline personality disorder. They claimed that she had been seeking attention and that her crime was the result of years of emotional neglect and instability. But the prosecution argued that Alyssa had acted with premeditation and malice. She had carefully planned the murder, and her actions showed a complete disregard for life. In 2012, Alyssa Bustamante was convicted of second-degree murder and armed criminal action for the killing of Elizabeth Olten. She was sentenced to life in prison, but because she was a minor at the time of the crime, she was eligible for parole after 35 years. The verdict was met with outrage by Elizabeth's family and the community, who felt that Alyssa's crime deserved a harsher punishment. For the Olten family, the trial and conviction didn't bring them any closure. The pain of losing Elizabeth in such a senseless and brutal way was something they would never fully recover from. Cheryl, Elizabeth's mother, spoke publicly about her daughter's death, expressing her heartbreak and anger. She said that she would never forgive Alyssa for taking her daughter's life, and she vowed to make sure that her daughter's story was never forgotten. In the years following the murder, Alyssa has expressed remorse for her actions, but for many, it feels hollow. Her cold confession and lack of true empathy for Elizabeth's family left many struggling to understand how someone could commit such a terrible act. Some have questioned whether Alyssa truly understands the gravity of what she did, or if she is simply trying to secure her future release from prison. Elizabeth Olten's tragic story is one of senseless violence and profound loss. The murder of this innocent 9-year-old girl rocked a small community and raised uncomfortable questions about the nature of evil and the darkness that can exist in even the most unexpected places. Alyssa Bustamante's crime serves as a chilling reminder that the people closest to us, even those who appear to be harmless, can sometimes hide dark and disturbing secrets. As for Elizabeth's family, they continue to mourn the loss of their beloved daughter, who was taken from them far too soon. They hope that her story will serve as a cautionary tale, reminding everyone that appearances can be deceiving and that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. Elizabeth Olten will never be forgotten. She was a bright, cheerful young girl with her whole life ahead of her, and her death has left a void in the lives of everyone who knew her. May her story serve as a reminder to never take life for granted and to always be aware of the signs of darkness that can lie hidden in the hearts of others. The murder of Elizabeth Olten is a case that leaves us haunted by the chilling idea that a seemingly innocent, young girl could commit such a heinous act. The fact that Alyssa Bustamante was able to conceal her guilt while pretending to care about the search for Elizabeth is a testament to the depths of her darkness. But in the end, justice was served, though it does little to ease the pain of Elizabeth's family, who will never get to hold their daughter again.